sun, sky, lake, going down, you know the deal. Alright then, so we're back at another familiar thing here. So today, I launched into my punch list that I had left on this Plymouth again, and I got the mirror off over there. I put all the new door seals, the new used door seals on, and they fit just like the original because they are original. So I did that, and I figured my day was going pretty good, so I would go ahead and just ruin it by getting into something I didn't want to do, which was repair this exhaust leak up here. And it seems like that I spend all my time at this car up here fixing exhaust leaks, because that's pretty much true. I really do spend a whole lot of time repairing exhaust leaks, because these things, when they get old, these manifolds get old, they have a couple, 3 leak points that they can leak at. You know, they're 2-piece manifolds, and they, suffice to say it, they just give you a lot of trouble. So this one's problem was this thing. And what the deal is with it, let me get turn that off. Let me give you a kind of a prop here okay, the manifold there, that's in the exhaust manifold, and this is an exhaust manifold heated choke. It's a divorce choke, they call it. And normally, as I stated earlier, they just bolt directly to the top of the manifold, and the little cavity under there is not, it's just open. I mean, it's closed. It does not go into the exhaust stream. But for whatever reason, a few years in the early 70s, I used one that has a cup under there, and then it has a gasket, and that bottom is open. It's cut out. It's open to the exhaust. So I guess it was intended to help emissions, to keep the choke from staying on too long. But what happens is that gasket that fits under all this was originally asbestos, probably, and they have not made asbestos gaskets for cars, and I don't know when, because it's bad for you if you breathe it, and they hadn't made that particular one in a long time. So I'll show you what I did. Let me turn the car off. Alright then, so we can hear ourselves think. What I did was, I had to make a gasket, and people have tried different things with this, and with various degrees of success or failure, and I didn't want to fail. So fortunately, when I bought this, you see that silver gasket that's between the manifolds and the head, that is a Rimflex gasket. It's thicker than the original. The original's metal, and that's the worst thing you can try to use on one of these when they're old and grown and moved and all that over the years. So this stuff's claim to fame is that it's thick and it's deformable. There's some sort of graphite impregnated gasket, and it's got like a steel mesh core in the center of it. So it negates the problem of, you know, if your gasket face on your manifold is uneven, it gets around that because it fills in the gaps. So you have to torque it and then torque it again. You have to torque it like 3 or 4 times to get it seated, and then, as you can see, it's kind of squoze in there a little bit. So man, this stuff, it's worth every penny. I mean, it's about $40-something, but I will never use another kind of gasket on a Slant Six ever. You know, you guys know me, I'm quick to tell you if something sucks, and this don't suck. I mean, it's worth the money. So the only problem is they are not reusable. So you got to have the gasket. I mean, you got to plan to put it on, and that's it. So anyway, the moral of the story is, these fine folks at Rimflex, they send you a sample round thing of gasket material just to hold, look at, and enjoy. But I found another use for it. It was just barely enough to make a gasket for under that. So if you see there, without me moving the camera way too fast, you see it there? So that's what I used. I trimmed out, I used my Dremel, and I trimmed out the outside circumference of it, outside dimensions, I'm sorry. And then I made a paper, I took one of my dirty gloves and took a white piece of paper and turned that cup over upside down and smudged it like you do in art class. You ever anybody's had art, you can kind of do a relief type of deal. You know, people that do rubbings on cemetery headstones, it's sort of the same thing. So it gave me an outline of where I needed to make a paper doll, so to speak. Not really, but so I cut that out, and then I had my dimensions for the inside, so I traced that and cut it out and all that, and then I transferred that over to that piece of gasket material and did the whole thing, and I just ran that Dremel tool on and on and on and on, and finally got it all situated. But that wasn't all of it. Of course, it wasn't that easy. You know, it's not going to be that easy. That's a new choke unit because the old one was not working right and it was rusted out. That's the one I just had held up and showed you, but it was on its last legs. And if you're wondering about choke units on these things, they're usually the ones up through about 1969 all interchange. The ones from 70 through 70, model year 72, like this one. The car's not that year, but the engine is. They are one choke, and then 73 up uses an electric assist choke, which is not like these. It probably fit in there, but it won't work on this. There's nothing that works on this except this choke. So if you're dealing with a Slant Six, that's just fair warning. But anyway, so I put that all together. But that, as I said, that was not the moral of the story. The moral of the story was that I got one bolt out, and I tried like everything to get the other one out without breaking, but it broke. And it was the one where that one is, on the end towards the carburetor. And so I had to drill it out and retap it, and I suck at drilling them out, and I suck at retapping them. So I got it together. And then that one over there gave me problems. That one as well. That's just a little short screw that's supposed to go in there. And the threads up at the end of the, you know, the start of the threads where that goes in just started giving up, and it wouldn't tighten. So I put a stud in it and ran it way down in there and then put a nut on it. So that's it. I'm done with it. It's going to have to work. So, you know, people ask if you should restore an old car or drive an old car or fix up an old car. Well, I'll tell you one thing about dealing with old cars. There's usually always something that needs to be repaired on an old car or upgraded or improved. So if you buy an old car, you know, you need to be mechanically inclined or at least willing to learn. And the best, I guess, speaking about that, the best advice I can give you is if you're going to get into something like this and start to learn how to work on cars, start with something as simple like this and common, like a Valiant or a Dart or a Duster, or if you're into Chevy, something like a Nova, or, you know, something like maybe a Malibu or something like that. You know, just something very dirt simple to work on. If you're into Fords, maybe like a, I don't know, Fairlane or so, you know what I'm saying. Just something that's just a basic car, basic machine. Because when I was a kid, learning, coming up about 17, 18 years old, I had a Chevy with a 350 in it, most simple thing you can have, and I was scared to death of that car. I wouldn't touch it, I wouldn't work on it, wouldn't do anything. I was afraid to death what was going to happen to it. And it's taken me a long time to, make this quick, but it didn't take me a long time to get over that. It just took me a while, but, you know, the main thing for you to learn about working on stuff like this is number one, don't be afraid of screwing something up, because people screw stuff up all day long. I've screwed stuff up after all this time, and if you screw it up, you fix it. You figure out how to fix it. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's the bottom line. You know, people on YouTube, I've noticed, would be scared to death to take a carburetor apart to try to fix it. And, you know, I can stand here and say, oh, it's easy to do that. I do it. Well, it is for me because I've done a lot of them. But, you know, it's just parts, you know, parts, and you have pictures and, you know, make a bunch of notes and stuff like that. But anyway, long story short is, don't be afraid to screw something up. If you screw it up, you fix it. You know, when you do something, you fix this, like this thing, what I've worked on here, you have two options, two results. Either it's going to work and you fixed it, or it didn't work and you didn't fix it. You got to fix it again. So, you know, that's it. That's all there is to it. You know, don't dramatize it. Don't say, oh, I just don't know anything. I may have to take it to the shop or something. No. If a human being in there that can walk and talk and breathe and reproduce, if he can put his hands on something like this and work on it and fix it, so can you. You know, you're not doing it because you're telling yourself you can't do it. You know, I've seen these guys, and bless their hearts, you know, I don't try to judge people, but, you know, they get kind of cutesy-pootsy voices or whatever, and they say, I can't even change the tire. I don't know, it's making a noise. You know, so, you know, you've made yourself that way. You've given yourself, that's been what you wanted to do. But anyway, otherwise, the rest of us, just dig on in there. Get on in there. So, I mean, this car, you know, I drive it, and, you know, when it needs something, I fix it. You know, I've tried so much, which with limited success, I guess, to kind of talk people into rebuilding stuff. I saw another video today, one of my subscriptions, and I like his videos a lot, and I like him. He's a good guy, but he just bought a fuel pump for a Cadillac, and it's remanufactured, and who knows where. And I know what's going to happen. He's going to take the old one off, he's going to chunk it, and it's gone. It's a good original AC fuel pump. You know, so, well, the reman was $40-something, and the kit to rebuild the original was $60-something. Now, there's a reason for that. There's a reason. You'll find it out eventually. There's a reason for that. So, hey guys, enough yakking. I've just been in the mood today to talk. And I know some of you just love to hear me talk. So I got the toys out today. I was going to work on that a little bit, which actually there's nothing left to work on that car. All I'm going to do now is do some cleaning up on it. So anyway, thanks for watching. We will get back on this maybe tomorrow. I may do a little bit more, but I may go in tonight and cover a little bit on this mirror. So let's go clean up some tools, and I think we're going to see inside at the workbench.